Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing today? Long time. It's been a long time since I've actually done a stream. What's going on, everybody? How are you all doing? Hope thank you guys for joining me and joining the channel. Let's check and see here. If you guys are hearing me, definitely let me know so I can make sure everything is going up. Let's check the chat right now. I see we got Pete here. What's up, Pete? How you doing? Thank you for joining, man. Vikesh, thanks, man. Thank you for joining the stream. But yes, for a lot of the people who are Canon users, I'm still a Canon user myself with my C70 here. This has been a day in the making. We have been waiting for quite some time for this announcement. So, for a brand new cinema camera and a brand new of their high-end cinema cameras. So we kind of have an idea of what the camera is going to be. Canon, from people like Canon Rumors and my good buddy Simon Yates, who has basically he's doing his own live stream right now of this watch party, but new product. And like I said, my buddy Simon Yates of Ordinary Filmmaker, I just want to give, even though I'm doing my own stream, I just want to let you all know he's doing his own stream as well. So if you want to just hop on, maybe get some other people and opinions, you could definitely hop on to Simon Yates at Ordinary Filmmaker. I would love to have been on with him. Normally we would, but I know I basically dedicated this stream, and I didn't want to pull out on you guys in the last minute. But let's see here. BME Films, thank you. What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining. But yeah, so while we get here a preview, we got again, as I mentioned before, we got an idea of what is to be announced. So we're going to get a new cinema camera. We're getting, from all reports, we're getting a brand new high-end Canon lens. So basically, sorry, I just realized I didn't turn A follow video is following. Okay, so hopefully now y'all can hear me. Apologies, I keep going in and out. I left audio follows videos. But anyways, as you can see, I'm a bit rusty on the streaming because I haven't done this in a while. But we got three new cameras. We got three new items. So we got the Canon EOS C400, which at a surprising price of about $8,000. We got the Canon RF. Finally, for a lot of people, have been waiting for this lens, been years waiting for this lens. The Canon RF 35mm f1.4 VCM. I don't know what the VCM. I'll be honest. I don't know what the VCM stands for. But that is one of the things. And then we're getting a brand new speed light as well, the EL10. So, if you and I was going in and out when I was talking about my buddy Simon. He broke down some of the specs that are said to be confirmed for this camera. Essentially, it's going to be a 6K backside illuminated sensor. It's going to have three native ISOs, one at 800, one at 3200, and one at 12,800. Interesting. It is going to have a brand new autofocus, a really updated autofocus system. It's going to have mechanical NDs, so that is very interesting to see. And then again, like I said, it's going to have a lot of the more professional I/O ports that we expect from cameras like the C500 and the C300 lines. So we're going to get both SDI and HDMI. We're getting BNC timecode. Or of course, we're going to get Cinema Raw Light. I'm pretty much assuming it's going to come with CF Express type B cards. I will be shocked if it's not at CF Express type B cards. And it's basically, yeah, as I mentioned here, it's at a price of $7,999. Very interesting. And then, of course, we got this little sort of it is an AI. No, it's an AI image, but it's from Topaz Labs. But I guess somebody had like a low res and they just enlarged it. But this is sort of the idea of what the camera is going to look like. So it's very, very reminiscent of the C500 line and the C300 line, with more of the boxy shaped one with the top handle, and then sort of also we got the multi-facet movable monitor that you have on the side. You got the rotating hand grip, which I really am excited to finally see on an RF line of cameras. So that's what we're expecting. Again, this isn't official yet, but overall sounds decent. I would like to see what else is fully coming with this camera, and basically see what we get here. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are as we're doing this. Let me know what you guys thoughts of in terms of those specs and what you guys think. So all right, Pete. Yeah, I bumped up my sound. Hopefully you guys hear me quite well right now. So if you're here in the chat, once again, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Definitely leave your comments down below. Let me know you're here. So Flip Michael Sefri's in the chat. Thank you, man, for again joining me. He asked, "What do I think about Lumix releasing on the same day?" Yes, I actually, you're right. I actually didn't get to that. Interestingly enough, it's interesting. I would say very interesting. Flip, it's very, very interesting that Panasonic is going to be announcing, which is rumored to be the GH7. And I am very curious as to them picking this day with Canon announcing their cinema camera for a Micro Four Thirds camera. I'm really interested to see. From what it sounds like, there's a lot of features. It's basically it sounds like it's the same sensor that's in the G9 II. It gets the new face detection, autofocus bumped up. It also sounds, there was rumors that there was ProRes RAW that's going to be natively in it, which I am very, very curious about. But the thing that really intrigues me is that there's going to be apparently a new audio top handle audio that is going to basically embed 32-bit float recording audio directly into the camera, which outside of, I think, only the Osmo Pocket 3 has had that capability where you can actually embed 32-bit float recording into the camera. This hasn't been, as far as I know, no other camera has been able to do this yet. So I'm really, really interested. So it will be interesting. I think that announcement is going to come later. It's going to come a couple hours later. It's going to come at 5. So I'm going to definitely keep it out, and I'll definitely, once that announcement comes out, I'm going to probably give my thoughts on it. I'm not going to do a stream on it. I'm just too busy. I've actually have like 3 paid post work projects I'm in the middle of while doing this stream, as well. And I gotta get my daughter. So I'm just swamped today. But I'm definitely going to be doing a video covering both this Canon announcement as well as Panasonic. But I will say I don't know if it will benefit. I think it will hurt Panasonic more. I think they're 2 different markets. There's people that are looking for Micro Four Thirds are going to want to listen to the Panasonic thing, and then of course people that are really into the high-end professional are going to look at the Canon cinema announcement. But it is going to be, I think, the Canon is going to be the bigger talk after today. Is going to be the new Canon cinema camera. even though the GH7, I wish it was a different day so the GH7 could really, even if it was the day after, where the GH7 could really just have a day of its own and really just get a lot of momentum behind it, especially given we don't have to go back into the whole thing with that happened with the S9 event. I think we've talked that enough to it. So Pete says, waiting on the R5 II announcement before considering the GH7. Got really disappointed with the GH6. Has sat on a shelf for 6 months. Totally get. Hey, Pete, I totally get it. And I'll be honest. That is why I sold my GH6. I got a chance to try out the Blackmagic Cinema camera before actually purchasing it myself, and yeah, after that with the C70, the GH6 was just like even then the GH6 was just it was not going in it was not going out with me, and it certainly just wasn't going out with me once I got the full frame cinema camera from Blackmagic. So, it's my belief that if you have gear that is just sitting on the shelf, it's best to just go ahead and get rid of it before it loses too much more of its value. Even though you may not get the full value back, you won't lose too much, and it's not also sitting up and you're not hoarding anything. So you can reinvest, maybe potentially reinvesting into some other new items. So yeah, I sold my GH6 a couple months back, and I've basically just because yeah, it was just I totally get what you're saying, Pete. Don't know how anyone uses a Micro Four Thirds camera after using full frame. Uh, I will say this. I agree. I agree because I'll be a hypocrite if I say no. I don't because once I got using the full frame Blackmagic camera, I'm like I'm basically ready to just go full frame on all my cameras going forth. So, which kind of puts this C70 into question, doesn't it? But yeah, my plan is to go full frame forward. So going to Micro Four Thirds doesn't make sense to me. But there's still a group of people that just love the small like foothold that Micro Four Thirds use. They don't take up a lot of space, and you don't have to worry about focus as much. There's a fan base there for it. I just personally feel, oh, lovely that I got people people that are doing lawn around my neighborhood are now working around here. So if you hear that, I apologize. But the point I'm trying to make is that my problem with is not the cameras. My problems have always been with the lenses with Micro Four Thirds. I feel that the people always design Micro Four Thirds lenses like they're designing full frame lenses, and they're not designing lenses like that should work for Micro Four Thirds. They're just taking what is the methodology of using full frame lenses and sort of putting that same methodology on Micro Four Thirds, and it's not beneficial, especially on the video side. Photography side, I can get, but the video side, it's not. I wish there was some things that they would do differently. One of the things I wish they would do, I would wish they would make the optics bigger. I know it's counterintuitive of what a Micro Four Thirds lens is, but it's physics. If you make the optics bigger, the lens can see more three-dimensional space. Therefore, it gives you more chance to play with depth and have better control over depth of field. I would love it if they would make the focus throws really long, like 300 degrees. Again, to help, because all the images, a lot of it comes through the lens. So if the lens can differentiate depths, various depths, especially at the farther range, because that's really the biggest Achilles heels for a lot of Micro Four Thirds lenses, is they do these focal lengths and design them to where you have like 1 feet to like 2 or 3 feet for like 50% of the throw, and then like 3 feet to like 10, it's like the other 50% before you hit infinity. And it's like, who's shooting a subject, unless you're doing macro work, who is shooting a subject a foot away on a micro four thirds lens? You're typically going to be 2.5, 3 feet away from the subject for majority of focal lengths. So I don't understand, why don't we just take most of the advantages of having more of that focal length throw from like 2.5 to 10 feet, where 50% is that, and then you can get the other half on the other ends. So it can help differentiate depth a lot better. But I'm ranting. I know I'm ranting, guys, so I apologize for that. But there's a lot of problems with the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem, but it's on the lenses. It's not on the cameras. The cameras are awesome. It's just they're held back by the lenses. Yeah, so let's keep going. Well, we got people. I see you guys having conversations. That's awesome. Thank you, Flip. Yes, family is definitely most important. Pete says, I bought the GH6 on a whim shortly after release. Admittedly, a mistake. Used the R5 almost daily. Look, look, man. Sometimes we do get like we go into getting something quickly because we live off the hype, and I've done that myself. So it's just live and learn. You live. If you're still living, that means you can learn and adapt and just move on. Video. Telephoto video portable 100 to 400 and Micro Four is very compact. I agree. Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about. If you compare it to the full frame, it's very, very compact. So let's see, BME Fills. That makes sense shooting in the wildlife. Yeah, that's definitely if you're walking around. Like I have quite a few trails by my house that a lens like that would be awesome if I was doing bird watching or getting a chance to capture deer. So again, which instead of carrying a big heavy thing. Let's see here. The Pocket 4K IQ is still good with an 1835 Sigma even telephoto. Yeah, look. I think some of the images out of Blackmagic cameras are still solid to me, and I know there's YouTubers that don't think there's really a difference between the full frame and the Super 35, and maybe it's true, but I just know what my eyes tell me, and my eyes tell me there's a definite step up in image quality, in terms of color rendition in low light, in terms of just images and how it just pops, composite. It just there's a lot more of a wow factor that I totally see. Like every time I open it, I've been staring at Blackmagic Cinema camera the Super 35 Blackmagic cameras for like the past 2 weeks, and I can tell the difference between that and the full frame, and it's definitely noticeable. Is it noticeable that will make a difference? No, but it's noticeable that it gives me the desire to go that full frame route. So, but yeah, I know that's the very common thing is the Pocket 4K or speed boosting up. I think that's definitely something to do. Trevor, thank you, man. Thank you for joining the channel. Thank you for joining, man. Ali Sales, thank you for joining. Yes, we are going to be watching the Canon event live, as I will cut away here. We have it on standby right over here, so we all will be watching this together. We're just still about 11 minutes away from that, but we are going to be watching. So, yeah. So, for those, I know some of y'all have just joined in. We did get, again, these are technically still rumors. They're not official, but we've given from multiple sources, and from one also even getting sources from that's a good friend of mine. Basically, we have an idea of what's going to be announced. we are going to get a brand new cinema camera. It is not the C70 Mark II. It's not going to be the C500 RF version. It's going to be the C400, and it is going to cost at a surprising $8,000, or to be perfectly exact, $7,999. We're also going to finally, for I know the photographers. If there's any photographers in the chat, let me know. Let me know in the chat if there's any people that do photography. But we're finally getting the 35 millimeter f1.4. So, which, again, incredibly surprising price of $1,500. I'm shocked by that. That I am shocked by. Even more shocked by the price of the camera. Because I'll be honest, the C400, I thought it was going to be like around $10,000-$12,000. I wasn't expecting $8,000, which is, again, so it's $2,000 what I expected. I was expecting this to be double. The 35, I was expecting it to be almost double this price. So I was shocked by this one. And then, of course, we're getting the new Speedlight. So those are the three things we're going to get. And in regards to the C400, this is, I'm guessing this was a low-res visuals that was sent to Canon Rumors that they've sort of enhanced through Topaz Labs. But this is, I guess, an idea of what the camera is going to look like. And then I've gotten work from, then my buddy Simon Yates over at Ordinary Filmmaker, he basically, oh, you can't say anything. That's why. Sorry. So this is, again, Topaz Labs. Basically, Canon Rumors sort of enhanced this image based on Topaz Labs, and this is sort of what we're going to be getting here. It's an idea. So again, these are all, again, still official rumors. No one actually knows yet exactly what is it going to be, but the specs that are, a lot of people are now coming out and saying it's that it's going to be a 6K sensor that is going to be backside illuminated. It's going to shoot internal cinema raw light. It's going to have the professional I/O ports that is in the C500 and C300 Mark III that we expect. So BNC timecode, SDI port. We don't know if it's 12G or if it's like a 3G or 6G. We don't know which version, but there is going to be an SDI port, which I think that's, to me, that's huge. That is huge. There's going to be also a full-size HDMI, so you're going to have two video sources out. There's going to be a new autofocus system in this one that hasn't been seen in any of the Cinema Line cameras, and it's apparently going to have 3 native ISOs. So it's going to have one at 800, one at 3200, and one at 12,800. Again, all sort of, and then I've been getting left or right. I'm getting mixed messages. I don't know if it's going to be a DGO sensor. If it's a DGO, it doesn't make sense if that triple native ISO is true. It doesn't make sense for it to be a DGO sensor, unless this triple native ISO is actually the various gain areas where they combine them into like a triple gain output, and it's a triple gain output, which I believe that's what I know, which I believe Ari does. They have like a multi-gain layer output. It's something similar to what Ari does. But again, we'll know in like, let's see here. We'll know in about 6 minutes. In about 6 minutes, we will know exactly what is going to be happening. So let's get back to the chat, and let's see right here. Let's see here. Let's see who else. We got Skippis. Is it Skippis? Please, if I'm saying it right, if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. But Skippis is here. Thank you. Frank Frank is here, man. What's up, man? Thank you, thank you. My boy Marcus, Marcus Robinson. Thank you, man. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it, man. So let's read the chats real quick. I think Cindy Dailies was the first person I heard say this, but I truly believe full frame is a creative decision. That is absolutely true. Everything is a creative decision. You can shoot choosing Super 35 is a creative decision. This whole thing is an art form. At the end of the day, it's about having the tools. These are all just tools, and the idea is just to understand what each tool does in order to paint the art you want to create. And that's just the gist of it. So yeah, full frame is a creative decision. Micro Four Thirds is they're all, every aspect, medium format, large format, 65 millimeter, they're all creative decisions. It's just a matter of just as long as you understand why you are choosing that sensor size. As long as you understand why you're choosing it and it makes sense for the work you're trying to do, then go for it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, as long as you're able to make the work that you want to do happen, every decision is just about making that thing happen and making sure your message and your voice comes across. So, absolutely, absolutely. The C70 is so easy to update. They might just do it anyway. A low hanging fruit. I mean, they've updated the C70 quite a bit. I mean, do y'all remember when this camera came out? It didn't have the face eye detection. It didn't even allow you to send color looks out. Didn't let you set a lot out through the HDMI. It didn't have, like, the autofocus is completely different outside the iPhone. It's just completely different than what it started out with. And then it didn't even have RAW when it first came out. It's a completely different. The C70 is a completely different camera than what it originally started out with. So yeah, they've made tons and tons of updates. That stock cam is killing me in California. It is over 100 degrees. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not over 100 degrees in my basement. So I'm just doing this to just make sure I just don't keep my head cold, just not get myself a little head cold, that's all. Until Canon does something about the cost of their RF lenses, does it matter if the body is cheap? Well, it depends. I mean, look, Canon has affordable lenses. If you want to talk about the L lenses, sure. L lenses have all, but I mean, but if you look at it like that, Sony, if you look at Sony's G Master lenses, most of them compared to Canon are more expensive. But it's all about if you need the optics, and those are what you want. But Canon has a ton of affordable options that are like $500 or less for their RF mount. So they do have cheaper options. I do understand what you're saying. They need to definitely expand more of their range. But they're also having third parties coming in, even stuff on the higher end like Cooks coming in, but you got Sigma coming in, Tamron coming in to produce for the RF mount finally. So again, I in terms of making things expensive, I'm like, the only thing I bring up is like Sony's the average of Sony's G Master lines tend to be more expensive outside of the few extreme lenses that Canon makes, like the 28-70 and then the 24-105 f2.8. But I get you though, man. So we got 60 seconds before we go in for this announcement. So let's buckle up, baby. I'm going to turn myself and be quiet, and I'm going to switch over here, and then we'll just watch together. So let's enjoy.
Trying to find a place to live. I'm thinking of moving long term to BC. I love the climate. I love the weather. It's very inspirational. And I saw there really wasn't a
Yeah, there's no sound yet. I don't think anything is playing right now, so we're still waiting for it to sort of start. So hang tight, people, hang tight. I'm excited. Let's see what we got. For a second, I thought we went from one loading page to another loading page.
Hi, and welcome to Canon Burbank, our cinema, service, and support center located near multiple major studios and rental houses. We're here to support working professionals by providing access to service for Canon cameras and lenses, as well as hosting classes, workshops, and film-related events of all kinds. Canon Burbank is the perfect place to experience our full line of Cinema EOS cameras and lenses, which has proven itself with documentary and narrative filmmakers as well as in live production environments. And today, we have an exciting announcement, the latest addition to the Cinema EOS product line. A brand new full-frame cinema camera with a native RF mount, a full-frame back-illuminated stacked CMOS sensor with triple base ISO, an improved autofocus system, and a host of live production capabilities. Now, let's hear from cinematographer and Canon Explorer of Light, Christine Ng, as she shares her experience working with the EOS C400.
And action.
Triple base ISO, backside illuminated
I'm Christine Ng,
sensor.
and I'm a cinematographer. What are we doing? That's a really good question. We're here to make something really fun. I've been very fortunate to be invited to use the newest Canon cinema camera. We're here on set with the Canon EOS C400. We were trying to come up with an idea to really showcase its new features. Something that's like an ode to old Hollywood and a little bit of a whodunit. Being able to direct and create something with my friends is something really exciting for me. We're shooting at the United Palace Theater. It's a historic theater in Washington Heights, New York.
Jake here from
As a
CV.
DP, I'm always advocating for a place that has inherent texture. I always want to be able to almost feel like I can touch the image. I'm really excited to utilize the C400 to showcase this beautiful place. The EOS C400 shoots 6K full frame. That's huge. And I'm really excited that I can get exactly what I want in terms of exposure, dynamic range, with something so small. The triple base ISO, that's a new feature where you have the ability to utilize the low range, the high range. In a space for us, that's gonna be a little bit of everything that will allow me to showcase the dynamic range and expose for the things that matter to me on screen. Canon's new PL to RF mount adapter goes hand in hand with the EOS C400 and its native RF mount. Now I have access to not only Canon's amazing lineup of RF lenses, but also a wide range of incredible lenses from across the industry. came out here and I was really shooting into the sun. So there were moments where I couldn't really see the monitor exactly, but I really trusted the autofocus. And so when I tapped in, it locks in. I feel assured that it's gonna be all good. The first time I had the EOS C400 in my hands, I was really surprised at how light it was. And it was just really easy to pick it up and go and just be inspired by the space and get shots. Sometimes as a DP, you have these fantasies of fun shots. And then when you start talking to your team about it, like, we can't fit in this space. But given the small form factor of the EOS 400, I'm able to get the shots in 5 minutes. We also wanted to kind of find a way to use 120 frames. So we're like, okay, maybe this is an excellent place for our actress Barbara to kind of destroy something. Okay, so no pressure, but I'd love to be shooting in 10 minutes. I think this tool is going to perform really, really well in every situation it's put under. As a DP, I work in so many different genres, and now I have one tool that works across all of them. I'm really excited to bring it on my documentaries, on my narrative work, both short form and long form. Something that can take me on a safari on a documentary to being on set on a soundstage in New York. Yeah, that's nice. Having that versatility with something so small and get the power of 6K full frame, that is such a huge advantage. That's a wrap! We did it! We wrapped, we got all the shots we wanted. I'm so excited for you all to see this little film we made. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Having a camera like the EOS C400 in my arsenal is a game changer.
The Canon EOS C400, a filmmaker's camera built with live production in mind. Now, let's take an in-depth look with Senior Technical Specialists Paul Hawkshurst and Ryan Schneider.
Well, here it is, the EOS C400.
Yeah, Paul, it's such a cool camera. We just saw some beautiful footage from Christine Ang's Scary Good, and you were actually on set to assist with that.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was so cool to see the first time this camera being used in the hands of such a consummate professional like Christine.
Yeah, it looks so good. As we heard, this is a filmmaker's dream of a camera, but it's got a lot of features that make it great for live production as well.
Yeah, let's jump right in and let's go through the camera. We'll start with the outside of the camera, all right? Cool. First thing I think people are going to notice about this camera is the size and the weight of it, all right? So body only, you're looking at about 3.5 pounds there. Very, very light. Perfect for your gimbals, up on your jibs, everything like that, all right? Now, dimension-wise, we are looking about a little bit over 5 inches on each side. So compact, super, super cool there.
Yeah. Very, very versatile as well as far as that goes. So up front, front and center, of course, is the RF mount on here. That comes with all the advantages of compatibility with our expanding RF line, but it's also, again, very versatile as far as lens selection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this because we are, at the same time, we're announcing our new, right, PL to RF mount adapter, all right? This is the first mount adapter for PL lenses from Canon, and it's just going to open up this camera to so many options out there in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of lenses, another thing that's right up front on this camera is a lens terminal.
All right, that's perfect for that live production that you were talking about right there. The 12-pin Hiroshi connector for our cine servos and broadcast lenses. Now, before we had those in the expansion units, like on the C500 and C300, but now we've built it directly into the camera body.
Yeah. Again, keeping that size down, keeping the build simple. Definitely. So we have a lot more inputs and outputs to talk about on this camera. Again, minus the expansion unit. They're all built in here.
Yeah, let's just start from the top and go. So first off, for your video outputs, we have a 12G SDI in BNC. We have a 3G monitor output, also BNC. We have a full-size HDMI output, all right? And then move on, for XLRs, we have 2 mini XLRs. And this is just like on the C70, right? Keeping everything, all this stuff in a compact body. Next up, unique to this camera, we have 2 DIN connectors on it, all right? The first DIN connector is going to be used for your time code. So anytime you use a jam time code,
So we
or
have
sync
mini
out to
XLRs.
something
That's
else,
very
a time code
interesting.
device, you're going to use that. The other DIN connector is going to be used for your gen lock and your return video.
Yeah, again, for live productions, having that built in right there is super cool. If you're connecting to a switcher, you're going to use the gen lock. If you're a production that utilizes return video, you've got that option in the menu to change it over, and then you'll be able to use return video, and it'll lock just like gen lock.
Yeah, I think the next thing we should take a look at is the card slots.
Yeah.
So, moving
Right,
on.
so we've got 2 card slots on here, one CF Express Type B and one SD card. So the CF Express Type B is for your cinema raw light, your full resolution video, and then you have an SD card for sub-recording and proxies.
Next up, let's talk about the new LCD screen system.
Yeah, new 3.5-inch LCD.
Exactly, and the big thing about it is the new connector. We're now using a USB-C type connector for it. All right, so that's very cool. Opens up to third-party companies. But something that people may notice looking at this is that we've also redesigned the bracketry for it as well. So this is great. We now have a very robust bracket system. You're going to be able to get that LCD screen far enough away from you if you're going shoulder mounted or anything like that. So very, very nice there. And it's all attached to a brand new designed top handle.
Right. And that top handle, besides being extremely sturdy and solid with 3 points of connection on there, also incorporates the new multi-function shoe that's also on the body here. So accessories can be powered and run directly off the camera there.
Very nice.
We also have a new grip on the side here. It looks very similar to existing ones, but like the monitor, now it uses the USB-C connector for it, and we've actually added 2 additional assignable buttons onto there.
But still using that standard rosette as well to connect to the body.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. While we're here, there is a new battery system. So the camera will ship with the BPA60N. And that BPA60N will run about 160 minutes or so. Great battery life out of there. We also have the smaller one. Now you can use the existing batteries, right?
that's right. You can use the regular BPA series from your C300 or C500. They all work on here. But there's some caveats there. So if you're using those older style batteries, you're not going to get functionality to the multifunction shoe, and you're not going to be able to use the 12-pin Hiroshi lens terminal.
Right. So if you are using Cine Servo or BCTV Servo lenses, you definitely want to be utilizing those new batteries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about the sensor.
Yeah, let's get into the heart of the camera. For sure.
Right, so this is a new 6K back illuminated stacked sensor, full frame.
That's right. Yeah, and actually this is great because what the back illumination allows us to do is to get the most dynamic range that we've ever had out of a full frame Cinema EOS sensor. One of the big features of this sensor is the triple base ISO.
Right.
Right. Now you remember previously R5C we had dual base ISO, correct? But now we have the triple base ISO. So if you're shooting in Canon Log 2, right, I have a base 800, base 3200, or base 12,800 system there. So that just gives you so many more options for lowering your noise floor at higher ISOs. And actually, you know, on the set of Scary Good, we did some testing and we decided to set the camera to base 3200, but then shoot it in 1600 ISO. We found that that really lowered our noise quite a bit, but also really allowed us to dig deeper into the shadows and get more of the shadow detail. So it was a really kind of perfect mix right there.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, it does have an auto selection as well. So if you don't want to think about it, the camera will do the work for you. You mentioned how great the sensor is, how fast it is. You know, obviously with virtual production and LED walls being a huge thing now, we've had the clear scan feature, which allows you to dial in the frequency of the wall, make sure you're not getting any bands or anything like that. But now we have a new feature. That's that auto clear scan, right?
Yeah, and this is really exciting to me because basically what the sensor will do is that it will actually read certain LED systems, so certain LED walls and certain LED lighting. It could actually read the system frequency of those. And then you can take that and it can jam the shutter of the camera to match those. So very easy workflow for that kind of production.
Very cool, very cool. So as far as recording codecs, I mean, we've got Cinema Raw Light, and that's the newest iteration of Cinema Raw Light. So you've got
HQ, ST, and LT.
Right. And you also have 12-bit, of course, regardless of what frame rate you're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, you know, it's 6K. It's you have Super 35 version or coverage as well. You have Super 16 coverage, and we've got some really nice high frame rates as well.
Yeah. So if you're in 6K, you can get up to 60 frames per second. Go down to that Super 35, we can get up to 120 frames a second in 4K. All right. Go down to Super 16, we can get up to 180 frames per second, and that's in your 2K mode right there.
Awesome. As far as other codecs, we've got the XF-AVC, which is our MXF wrapper, and then we have two new lighter weight codecs, and that's the XF-HEVC-S and XF-AVC-S.
Yeah, and these are really interesting and cool new codecs because before, remember, these come in MP4 wrappers, right? Now, before, it's always been an MP4 wrapper file would not carry over certain information. It wouldn't carry over the metadata from other files, and the naming structure would be different than what you would expect, right? But now, with these new MP4 wrapped files, we can actually carry over that file name from XFAVC or from RAW, and we can also carry the metadata over as well.
That's great. That's great. One of my favorite things about the C400 is the addition of dual pixel CMOS AF2. All right, so the latest iteration. And what that enhances is the coverage, first of all, of the frame. So you've got approximately 100% coverage across the entire sensor for autofocus now.
Yeah, very cool. I think we also expand the type of things that we can focus on as well. Is that
Absolutely. The intelligent tracking recognition's been enhanced. You've also got animal detection as well as people now. So eyes, face, head, body of dogs and cats as well as people. And we have the new zones as well. So you have a lot more customization of where you can place the AF frame and how large it is.
Hey, let's talk about the connectivity of this a little bit, because one thing I noticed is that we have on the side of the camera, we have a full Ethernet port there.
Ethernet port and Wi-Fi is built into the body. So
Directly
no
in the body.
dongles.
We don't need an adapter.
Yeah, absolutely. So that Ethernet port is really key to controlling the camera with our XC protocol, which is included.
Yeah, and XC protocol is great because that kind of unifies our cinema line in a way. A lot of our other cameras use XC protocol, and you can have all of that.
All right, so I'm going to lower them right now because I think most of the highlight features, I'm going to still hear everything, but I just want to make sure we're good. But yeah, so it looks like we have a, I'll roll this down and I'll sort of bring this out. But they, full frame 6K up to 60 frames a second. There's three sort of Super 35 crop modes. There's a 4.3K, mode that will shoot up to 100 frames a second. This is all from a list that I saw on CVP, but it'll shoot 4.3K in that crop mode up to 100 frames a second in the Cinema Raw Light. And then if you use the DCI crop mode, it will shoot up to 120 frames per second. So you're still, so Super 35, you still, so 60 frames a second in RAW is going to be the max. But it looks like if you go into the XAVC options, you will be able to shoot 4K full frame up to 120 frames a second. And I'll see if, let's pull this up. Let me see if I can pull up these recording options. Let's see here. So let me click up here. Give me a second. I'm going to mute these guys right here for a second, and then I am going to take this out and bring this in. So CVP came out with theirs. I'm just trying to get it to the port where, here it is. So this may be hard to see, but here's the sort of spec breakdown. But here we go. So as I mentioned, so 6K, the full, which I know someone's saying is it open gate. Technically, yes, it's open gate because it's a 17:9 sensor. Open gate does not mean you get to shoot more verticality and things like that. Open gate, the term open gate just simply means you get to use the full sensor. All of Canon's cinema cameras are technically open gate because you get to utilize the entire sensor. The C70 is an open gate camera. It's just a 17:9 Super 35 sensor. So in the quote-unquote open gate mode, you'll get to shoot 6K up to 60 frames a second. You will get to shoot, again, 4.3K up to 100 frames a second. And then you can shoot 4K DCI up to 120 frames a second. If you go into the XFAVC intraframe, you get to shoot DCI 4K up to 120 frames a second. And you can use the long up, the same thing on all the other ones, you can use 120 frames a second. It looks like 120 frames a second is the max. Unless there probably is a Super 16 crop where you can go in. I didn't see it. But yeah, and then of course you got that triple base ISO. They didn't say anything about. To me, it's not a big deal. To me, this part is not a big deal, but I know this is going to be a big deal for some people. They didn't really say anything about the rolling shutter, even though this is a BSI sensor. I think it's going to be solid, but I don't expect it to be like Venice level. Maybe it may be A7S level, but to me, again, the rolling shutter is not a big deal. It's rolling shutter has just always been something that you sort of just have to work with. And you work with. That's just my personal opinion. The thing that shocked me about this is the fact that there's one CF Express card slot. That was shocking. There's one CF Express card slot. There's one SDI, and there's one SD card slot. That's an interesting choice for an $8,000 camera. It really kills redundant capabilities, especially for shooting RAW. That was to me the weird choice, and I'm like, why didn't you just go ahead and put two CF Express? It may be a situation where they didn't want to put out too much power, where it would have to constantly put out so much power that it would drain the battery faster. They probably were thinking they would rather have that so it can limit what type of recording options could be done and keep in terms of dual recording, and try to basically have it where it's better run times and things like that. So, but yeah, so but it's the triple base ISO is interesting. It looks like, yeah, it is, as somebody pointed out, it's basically like Cine EL style, where when you select the ISO first, and then you can kind of navigate the gain at different levels. So you could set 800 ISO, but then raise the gain up to 1600, or set it to 3200 and set the gain down to like a 1600. But it is still 3200. So it's they didn't say the dynamic range. They did. I noticed that, and I'll probably keep an eye out for. I'll read more on CVP and see if there's anything about the dynamic range. But they said this is like one of their highest range dynamic range cameras. I'm pretty sure there's going to be tests. To me, as long as it does 13 stops, like good solid 13 stops, I think that's sufficient enough. That to me will be sufficient enough. I know some people will say that's not good enough for an $8,000 camera. That's not going to be good enough. It needs to do 16 stops of dynamic range. I know they said this camera does 16 stops of dynamic range. It really doesn't. It does about 13 stops, and it's really good. Like once you get to 13, because once you get around 13, it's really just lighting. At that point, you're just working with. It's just sort of controlling the lighting at that point. And at least that's my personal opinion on that. But let's go ahead and let's read the comments because unfortunately, I got a hard out in a couple minutes because I have to get my daughter. Is it a new sensor? Yes, it is a new sensor. I thought it was going to be the same one for the C500, but no, it looks like it's a brand new sensor with that. Oh, you're probably talking about Micro Four Thirds. Okay. So, and Angel showed up. Hey, what's up? Thank you for joining. Leo, thank you for joining. Jury, thank you for joining. Yeah, that's a good jury comment. Yeah, absolutely, jury. Yeah, absolutely. I'm behind on my memes. What's the Chris Paul meme? Should be like 5K. I don't know if it should be 5, because remember when this camera came. Let me grab this real quick, and I'm going to be quick. But when this camera came out, this is over $5,000. This was over $5,000 when this came out, and at the time it didn't have RAW. It didn't have any of this other stuff, and it certainly did not have 2 SDI ports. You got a 12G and a 3G for monitoring. You add a full-size HDMI. I would say it's actually, personally, I would still say it's quite, compared to what Canon was doing before, it's priced quite competitively, if I might add. The SD has to be for proxies. Look, I think it's more for the HEVC options that you can do, so you could probably do those. Because I mean, you technically could. I know you can do the. There's probably going to be some record. You can do all. Actually, I'm probably thinking about it. You can probably do all the recording options, in that XAVC options, all the non-RAW options on the SD card. It's probably just the RAW options that you will not be able to do that. It's the huge lead to cut it down to 4.2. Okay, I see what you did. Am I interested in this one? I think, all right, personally me, because I really, unfortunately, I do have to go in like 5 minutes. Personally for me, I am not seeing myself getting this camera. I'm not saying this is a bad camera, but given the fact that full frame, not the full frame, but 3x2 recording options is becoming sort of a thing that I am desiring. And also just the workflow and the type of lenses that I'm starting to use more often, I'm more likely just going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to just go into the Blackmagic ecosystem, get the Pixis, and get the Ursa City 12K. Even though the 12K, yes, I know the 12K is double the price of this camera, but the power and the features that camera, again, I don't know. I am supposed to get the Ursa City 12K. Yes, I am supposed to get the Ursa City 12K. I'm going to try to get it in my hands. Hopefully soon. We'll see. But just that whole ecosystem, that full frame ecosystem that Blackmagic has now built with the Pixis, the Ursa City 12K, and now with this, and also with the cinema camera, that to me is a well more appealing. And I just love the image that comes out of the full frame camera. I know I'm going to get the same thing out of the Pixis, and I'm really curious to see what happens with that Ursa City 12K. So again, time may change. I may get those cameras and be like, man, this sucks, and hey, maybe I will look at this camera and say, hey, this is actually pretty good. But I will say, that's me. I can only I'm only speaking for me, and I want you guys to know that. I still think this camera's going to, but I do think this camera's going to sell well. I think there is a lot of solo operators, a lot of short team dock, a lot of dock shooters, I think a lot of wedding shooters. There's going to be a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are going to love this camera, what this camera offers, and it's going to get this camera. Trust me, this camera is going to sell. I already know the fact that this camera is going to sell. It's just, for me personally, it's not. Just me personally, this is not. It's not for me. And I'm just saying. So, but I trust. But I firmly believe this will sell. This will definitely sell. Feels a bit underwhelmed by the specs. Yeah, because I guess a lot of people feel like, well, we kind of already had this with the C500, and honestly, you're probably going to get this for roughly the same price. In fact, you may be able to find it cheap, a C500 cheaper, and that will have dual CF Express card slots. It just won't have obviously, it just won't have the RF mount. But if you weren't planning on getting RF lenses, or you're looking to get PL, go more PL range, I think the C500 is a great alternative option for that. I think secondhand C500s are going to probably pick up because of this camera. It's priced, yeah, as Marcus said, it's priced right, and again, it's a pass for me, like Marcus says, for me. He's going to wait for a C70 style full frame. I totally hear you, Marcus. Do you think the PL adapter can fit onto a C70? It should. I don't see why not. They're both RF mount. They should fit. I don't see why one would work on the other. The 4K RAW options should be the same as the C70. Yeah, in theory, it should be the same options. Again, I think the difference is that now you don't have the DGO sensor, so there's not a point in frame rates where it will turn off. You will just now have to work with 3 different ISOs. I'm eyeing the Ursa 12K as well to pair with my 6K full frame. I'm totally with you, man. I think Blackmagic has really found a fitting in full frame, and they came out swinging. So I'm big on that. This versus the Blackmagic cinema camera full frame. I mean, this all depends on what you do. Honestly, I can tell you right now, this camera will probably be way easier in terms of a workflow than the Ursa City camera. But again, for me, the big thing about the Ursa City, not the Ursa City, the big thing about the full frame camera is its image quality, and the fact that you have so many aspect ratio options that open up the doors to so many lens options that you can do. You know, it's a 3x2 sensor, and you can use that. It's not a 17x sensor like this camera, but it all depends on what you do. And to me, they're 2 very different things. They're apples and oranges. To me, it's like if you're thinking between this and the C400 and the cinema camera full frame, you probably should figure out a little bit more of what do you need, because they do 2. Again, I haven't had the camera, but they're 2 very different. They're 2 very different animals. Well, honestly, this looks like a B camera to me for larger sets. I mean, like I said, the C500 versus 400. Again, I think they're relatively compatibly simple, and you could probably get one or the other at price. And I've seen some C500s go for like $6,000. with a whole set going for $6K on aftermarkets. So it's definitely there. But unfortunately, I got to end the stream because I got to get my little girl. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this stream. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. It's a pleasure being with you guys. You know, definitely, before you leave, please make sure you leave a like so YouTube knows you like this. And also, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm definitely gonna make videos talking about this. I'm gonna be talking about whatever Panasonic comes out later today, and also there's quite a bit of more content coming. So definitely stay subscribed. Again, I appreciate you guys, and as always, and until next time, take care, everyone.